Chad, Cornell P.V. Wardy. I want to say thank you and welcome to this Candidates Forum. First thing I'd like to acknowledge the ancestral lands of the Numina, the Comanche. It's important to know where we are, where we work, we play, we do our work. These are the ancestral lands of the Numina. We share these lands with our affiliate tribes, but it's important to always acknowledge as we begin. We had our prayer, and I think that I'd like to invite Bobby right here, to say a few words as well, and I think we have somebody in mind for invocation.
Good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody out tonight, and I want to thank you for coming to spend the evening with us. And I'd like to thank all the candidates that have shown up, and I appreciate your time. And we're going to ask, once again, Bernard Karawa, we're going to go to for an invocation before we get things started.
It is always a tremendous pleasure, and it makes me very proud, and I show pride before all of you, because when we come together, there's so many things we can do together as a people. And every time we make a decision, it affects somebody one way or another. But we have to keep going on. And I'd like to say at this point in time, you as the candidates, this is what you have to realize, that each and every one of these tribal members here, they represent a family. And if you start counting and count them by 20, at the minimum, 20, that's how many people are represented here tonight. So what you say in your message as you speak to our people, it carries so much and tremendous a movement of where you want our people to go. And as long as you say what they can understand, and when they can understand, I'm sure they'll be ready to take a vote. Until that time, please make sure that all of our people understand what it is that you're asking for, what you want to do, how you want to do it, when you want to do it, why, and also that you will, if you're elected, you will make that happen. Because if that's something you believe in, it's now is a time for you to explain to our people what it is that you are going to be representing as far as an elected official. Being an elected official it's not easy, because everybody targets an elected official. And I'll tell you, to me, if they don't say anything to me, it bothers me. Then I realize that they're not asking the questions. But when they start asking you the questions, then you're going to be able to understand that when our people start asking all these questions, there's a lot of matters within our tribe that have not been completed. If they've been completed, who understands? And if those that understand, if you can share with the rest of us and share with the business committee, that message has to be shared. It has to be understood, because being able to understand what you as elected officials, I've been there, I've done that, and it's very difficult to make sure that the message that you give to the people, it is a message of unity. All of you are speaking as one voice. You're not patak, you're not by yourself, but you are working as a working committee. And that's what our people want to see. They want to see this unity. They want to see that what happens every month, there's a meeting. Every month we expect something to happen, and we accept that an agenda that you present, it's going to assure our people that you move in that direction. Because following an agenda every month sometimes is not easy. And following a quarterly agenda is not easy. And trying to assume that by the end of the year that what you have accomplished is what the people need and what they wanted. So you yourself will have to look into your hearts. You will have to look back behind you and see that everything that you feel like you have done has been in behalf of our people, and that you represent our people to the extent that they feel like you are their voice. If they can't feel like they can come to you and umai tekwan, then that's not the way it should be. So we want to make sure that when our people come to you and talk to you, you are always approachable, because that's the last thing that needs to be looked upon. Okay. But I'm just so thankful that I have been part of who you are up there, sitting there. It's not an easy job, because when you're representing 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, that's not hard. That's not a hard task for some people. Some people plan that way. But when it comes time for us to actually do what we need to do, it takes each and every one of you working together. If one of you is not in the same stride as another one, then you need to work it out, because you don't want to come before our people and it appears that there's a lot of dissension. Okay. But I just wanted to say these few words so that I can share with you. In the past, it's been hard. We had very little when we began our tribe, but now we've got a lot to be thankful for. And being thankful for all of what we've done, I'd like to say, in behalf of the Lord thanks each and every one of you as individuals that you have given your hearts and your souls to our country, our tribe, and our people. And our people, we stand as one. And when we stand as one, we have so much power as we share with our Creator. And it is up to the Creator. And I'd like to say that in this prayer, that each and every one of you, you represent families out here. You may think you represent individuals. You don't. You represent families. And you represent some of you, there are big families. And when you begin to realize and understand that you as tribal leaders, you get to know your people. You can always reach out. You don't have to touch the wallet. You touch their heart. Because once you touch their heart, there are going to be those who will thank you so much. And as I bring these words, I hope that you will have heard and understand how important it is that you as tribal leaders, these are the people who will tell you what they want. And listen, please, listen to them. And as I close out this quick message, I would like to say thank you, Lord. You have given me the opportunity to express to my people. All of you, you will have a vote, and you will be sure to use that vote in such a manner that you feel that you have made the right decision. So in behalf of all of the tribal leaders that are here and those that have gone on, want to thank you, our people, and you as the business committee. Thank you for all of what you have provided to us. Ura. Amen.
Come on.
Okay. So as we move into the introductions, I want to say thank you very much for the singers for rendering the Comanche songs that are appropriate, and think that as we look at the kind of protocol that we have a schemata, a matrix that was designed to make sure that we have balance in the voices and the responses that we have here. And so we have the questions have been designed, and each one of the candidates have an opportunity to look at these, so nobody's blindsided, so they have that with them. And so I just wanted to give an opportunity for each one of the candidates as you go down the row, for them to introduce themselves, and maybe a few seconds, I think, just in commentary to welcome them, however they'd like to do that. And as soon as we reach down here at the end, we'll get started on the very first question. So if you can, I would just like to say thank you, Bobby, to thank you very much for all this. So candidates, if you can be brief, introductions.
Maratweka Samoyet Nananyat sa Guy Narcomi Akiti na Namadekwat Ma'ai Hanatura Ayet Nana Latin Hapahita Cameron University Hanamian 2012 Hana Subet Master's degree Hana Ya Akiti na Vice Chairman Hana Hani Hutoi Rakok.
I'm Susan Cothran. I'm a candidate for chairman. I've been the vice chairman for 3 years. I also graduated from Cameron University with a bachelor's degree in business. I've worked toward my master's degree. I've owned my own business for over 20 years. All of my relatives, my old grandma, my kaku, and them are all gone. So that my grandmother's been deceased for 43 years. But that's who raised me, and that's a person that had a big influence on my life and taught me right from wrong and told me to believe in God, and He would get you through anything.
I'm Charles Wells. I'm running for tribal chairman. I'm a businessman, and I have run businesses. I have a college degree, and I want to serve my people. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Diana Gail Doibai Sovo. I've been born and raised here my whole life. I am an educated person. I hold a double major degree in agriculture and business. My minor studies was in chemistry. I've got probably over 25 years experience working with the Indian Health Service and tribal government. I remember as a child going to tribal government meetings before KCA was split into the individual tribes. And I would like the opportunity to help my people in any way I can. Whether elected or not, I still try to help you. And any of our candidates up here are going to try the best that they can, and just God go with all of us through our campaigns and keep our people safe. And thank you all for having this evening. It gave us a chance to interact with not just our people, but with one another here and get to know one another. Thank you.
Marawe. Akamakatana, Nanamana. I'm June Sobo. I've served my people 43 years. I've seen how our people have been treated. It's time for a change. We need somebody to stand up for our people, direct them in a good way. God says, love one another. The first words out of our mouth when we see one another, instead of hateful words, should be, Akamakatana. I love you, brother. I love you, sister. That's going to take us a long way. And if I'm elected chairman, we'll see those changes. We want to welcome our people to our complex. Be glad to see them. Not treat them hateful, look down your nose at them because they need a little help. Everybody needs a little help. You could have all the education in the world, but if you're going to look down at our people, the people that put you in a position, that ain't no good. Urako.
Maduwe. My name is Billy Comanche. I'm a candidate for your tribal chairman. I bring with me 20 plus years of federal jobs working under federal regulations for HUD. I also bring with me a compassion for my people. Like my brother here said, we share the same type of thoughts and beliefs. We share that because we're a part of the Comanche Native American Church. We want to bring the stability back to the tribe. We want to be there for one another. We want to help our families, our children. That's what it's all about, our future. And so I ask you to take into consideration each and every one of these people sitting up here. Take into consideration their points and their views. So with that, I say thank you for being here and God bless you.
Good evening, Comanche Nation tribal members. My name is Jerry Parker. I was born and raised in Lawton, Oklahoma, from the old Fort Sill Indian School back in 1960. I was raised by my maternal grandparents, Roy and Alice Mowat Parker, who I considered that the elders back in that time, they took care of their grandkids. They raised them and instilled very valuable traits such as integrity, honesty, honor, and respect for your people, your family. And I still carry that throughout my life, even to this day, and I always will. I was a previous employee of the Comanche Nation with the Capital Improvements Program, officially for 10 years, but another 2 unofficially. I'll explain that sometime later. But during that time I was employed with the tribe. Capital Improvements pretty much was the hub of all the programs in our capacity. You know, we had to remodel, renovate and stuff like that. So we got to meet a lot of the other employees of the programs and knowing everybody. And during that time, I took that time to learn what each program was about and what their services were and how they helped the tribe, the tribal members. As Mr. Sovo and Mr. Comanche related to, it's very important that we as a tribe people regain our voice, and that's what I'm here to do. If elected in my official tribal administrator capacity, I will do everything in my power to go in that direction.
Good evening. My name is Lenora Parker, and I am a candidate for Vice Chairman for the Comanche Nation. I have a degree from the University of Science and Arts, and I also have credits towards a master's degree in counseling. It's a great honor for me to stand before you and to speak to you on this forum. My father was Simmons Parker, and he always instilled a lot of Comanche values within us. He taught us about our history, and my father was a Comanche code talker. I was born in Fort Benning, Georgia, while he was there in training for code talker in the military. I believe that my father instilled a lot of passion in me for our people because he always spoke about our people. And I believe that he's the one that influenced me. And I always had a goal to work for the Comanche people since I was very young. And I feel very blessed that I've been able to do that because I care deeply about what happens. I want our people to have the goods and services that they need, and I'm also concerned, as many of these other candidates are, to be a voice for the people and to serve the people. Leadership is service to the people, and that's what I would like to do again. I ran 2 terms. I have 4 years experience, and I would love to work for the Comanche people once again. Thank you, and God bless you.
Hello, my name is William Nelson Sr. I'm the current chairman right now. It has been a pleasure. It's been an honor. I want to thank our chairman, Carrara, for your words. I want to thank Dr. Pee Wee Wardy, Bobby, for putting this on. This is good. I'm hoping that our Comanche people worldwide is watching this. 36 years of business experience is what I'm about. I worked 20 years for a Japanese conglomerate. I worked for computer centers of Valcom, Computercraft, Tandy. I probably have enough hours for a bachelor's, maybe a master's. Never got the paper. I come from the Red Elk family, the Pomakia family, the Tichawai family. The people that raised me told me one thing: be about it, quit talking about it. Mean what you say, do what you say. Ika won, keta na ishap. Main one. The thing is, this committee that most of these people are wanting to be elected to is called the Comanche Business Committee. Not the Comanche Personal Committee, not the Comanche Political Committee. I want you to understand business. Last year you guys got $1,518. Let's continue that trend. Last year you guys got a dividend check. Guess what? This money belongs to you. Business rules, personal, stay out. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Daryl Kuchikwita. Welcome. I have a business degree from Cameron University. I have 4 years committeeman experience. I have business experience and run my own successful business for several years now. And I have a great passion about our people and service to our people. You know, I served several years ago, it was almost a decade ago. I think I was 34 years old when I first started on the business committee. And, you know, I learned a lot since then. I've matured. We've seen a lot of changes. I think we made great strides back in that time. And then we saw an era where we kind of slid backwards. And then it seems to me that we're kind of back on track, hopefully. And so I've been away, you know. And I've come back, and I've experienced some healing, you know, in my heart about our tribe, because many people got hurt on both ends back then. I believe we have great opportunity. I believe we have a great future. I believe we need to pave a path for our children and secure a future for them. So I have hope. I have faith in God. And I ask that He continue to guide us as a nation, that we not turn from Him, but to be guided by His Spirit and love each other and move forward in progress. Thank you.
Hold on. Let's give them a round of applause. We're going to get started. Give the microphone to Bobby. She's going to give us rules of conduct, and we'll get started with the questioning.
Thank you. We just have a few rules, and they're pretty basic. We would like everybody to be respectful of the candidates. Candidates be respectful of each other, and we all have opinions here, and we would like to share those and be respectful of that. Number 2, like Cornell had mentioned, we would like everybody to put their phones on vibrate or to silence your phone. And then the third is at the intermission break is when I have some forms to fill out for questions, and all questions will be come through me. And in those questions, we're asking you not to badger a candidate, you know, like specifically, why did you do this or why did you do that? And when you fill out that question, we want the question directed toward a group, like say one question for all chairman candidates to answer, or one question for all vice chairman candidates to answer. And a lot of these questions that we'll be asking during the agenda are directed at chairman and vice chairman candidates because they have to do with issues that we have as a nation. And I'd like to thank Mr. Jerry Parker and Ms. Sovo for being here. They're tribal administrator candidates, and those are more day-to-day operations. But we would like them to share their opinion on these categories, but that position is more day-to-day operations. Then, you know, you would be involved like with casino competitiveness or the Oklahoma tax revenue, those types of things. But we would like to thank them for being here. And then no outbursts from the audience, no cursing or name calling. We appreciate you clapping in support of what the candidates might say, but we just want everyone to be courteous to each other. And then candidates, if you'll pay attention to me, I'll be signaling you if we go over time, and we're allowing about 3 minutes per question. Yeah, if you see that, then that's it. Wrap it up. And then I would like to point out to people back here at the yellow curtains, we have a tribal symbol. And if you guys at the intermission break or after the forum, if you want to take a picture with your candidate, you know, in support of or something like that, we have that set up there for you to do. So I just again would like to thank everybody for being here and for bearing with us. And I think we're only about 15 minutes behind at this point. So we're going to get right to the questions, but thank you, everyone.
Okay. As an educator, I appreciate the live streaming. It's important that those that cannot be here be able to be a part of teaching and learning. So that's really important, particularly those that are, whatever the age you may be, as you begin to look at, this is called nationhood. This is governance. So as you begin to look at how we try to take care of our learning, this is outcome. So we can save these clips for future case studies as we begin to try to understand where we are in the here and now. So as we begin to look, the questions we have, question number 1, those that signed up, that'll be the chairperson, the candidate, Billy Comanche will be the first, then June Sovo, and then we'll go to the vice chair that signed up. But right now, Billy, do you have a microphone? Do you need this one? I think that Bobby's going to be your timekeeper. So the first question, it's about maintaining culture and language. Maintaining culture and language. If you were elected to a tribal office, Billy, tell us how you envision new approaches for protecting, for healing, and restoring long oppressed peoples, and for respecting the revitalization of Comanche culture and language.
This is very near and dear to my heart, our language and our culture. Being raised by my grandparents basically from birth, I was taught the importance and value of our language, our song, our culture. And being raised in the teepee in a Native American church, I was able to gain a lot of knowledge from people that are no longer here. They taught me the values of being Comanche. They taught me the values of wanting better for our people. Throughout the years of their prayers, I have seen their prayers come to fruition. I've seen the children that they talked about growing up, getting an education, living in both worlds, not only the Native American world, but the Thivo world, growing within their families, being somebody for their family. That's what that elder generation way back then talked about. And I feel privileged to be able to have been a part of that. And with that, I think it would be a tremendous benefit to our tribe to bring a language and cultural department within the tribe so that we could better utilize the people that we have left. We could better utilize those elders that we have left. We missed out on a generation of knowledge. We still have a few left, but at this particular point in time, we need to utilize what we have left. We need to bring those elders, bring those older folks that were able to be taught by their grandparents at a young age. They have the knowledge that we need within our tribe to once again come together, and once again we can be able to bring that knowledge of language and song back to our tribe. They need to be taught the culture. We're the lords of the plains. That's not just a phrase. That's something that's very strong. I feel that they need to understand the true meaning of that. The history books today, in today's world, it doesn't teach that. That comes from the families. That comes from the Comanche families. We need to be able to have a department within the tribe. All of the other tribes, or the majority of the tribes, they have something similar to that, where they teach their children. They teach their older folks the same thing, because they almost lost it like we're getting ready to do. So I believe that if we have a department, if we fund that department, if we have that department bring in our elders, bring in the knowledge that we need, we can teach our children. And that's what it's all about, is teaching our children that they need to be able to have the knowledge of all of our culture. We need to be proactive and not reactive pertaining to our culture.
Thank you very much. June Sobel, you have the next question. Again, let me read it. June, if you were elected to tribal office, tell us how you envision new approaches for protecting, healing, and restoring long oppressed peoples, and for respecting the revitalization of Comanche culture and language.
We have individuals that are teaching that language in schools, public schools now. Even at a point that even some of the Taiwas are picking it up. But we need also to build some kind of program where we can involve the parents. Because if our children learn how to talk Comanche in school, they get home, who they're going to talk with. The parents have got to get involved. We've got to get some kind of avenue. We have after-school programs in our youth programs that we could go out and do something with the language. At the same time, teach them Comanche hymns, teach them about their culture, so that the parent and the child can learn alongside each other. Even counting stages, when they learn to count. Sometimes their folks can't even count to 10. They get excited. They come home, try to tell their parents. Young parents that hasn't been grown up, raised in this type of setting, and I would assume that it kind of discourages our children. So it has to be a family-oriented program. The different tribes have got their programs set up. We could visit them and get some ideas how we're going to get our adults, parents involved in that. If we have to do it in the evening, so be it. If we have to pay our teachers to come in, then let's pay them. And we don't want to give them peanuts. So many times we ask knowledge of our elder people, and you want to give them peanuts. Pay them for their knowledge. pay them a good stipend. Make it worth their while to come down there and help share that. Because if we don't take action like that, we're going to lose it. We're going to lose it. So let's get it behind it and do it. Thank you.
Ura. Those two voices were candidates for chairperson. We'll move into vice chair. Guy Narcomi, you're next. I'll read it. If you are elected to tribal office, tell us how you envision new approaches for protecting, healing, restoring long oppressed peoples, and for respecting the revitalization of Comanche culture and language.
Thank you, Cornell. That's a good question. I just want to say that I believe that the Comanche language is a very important aspect of our culture. Without it, we kind of lose the DNA of who we are. Language holds our thought pattern, our perspective, and our vision on the world. Without language, we lose our ties to our cosmology and our past and our history. At this time, we have not written our own history book. Everything that's written down about us has been written down by universities and historians from other cultures. We have not written about ourselves. We have not documented ourselves. Secondly, I'd say a few years ago, the youngest fluent speaker was a linguist from New York. If all our fluent speakers passed away, the last fluent speaker would be a linguist from New York. And if he were to come here and tell our children how to speak, who would tell him differently? That's something to think about. Language has a lot of key aspects in it. The first one is curriculum. What's that going to look like? How's that going to go? Curriculum requires a lot of research and development. If you're going to learn about the language, you have to sit down with the people who are still here, and they're kind of moving on. I would say that language is most important to identity. Once you begin to lose your language and your culture, you fall in line with other cultures. You adopt other things, you adopt other methods, you adopt other types of thinking. And without your own cultural base, there's like a lack of a backbone there, and anything can happen. So I feel that language is very important, and we should just strive to keep it alive.
Lenore Parker, you're next. If you are elected to tribal office, tell us how you envision new approaches for protecting, healing, and restoring long oppressed peoples, and for respecting the revitalization of Comanche culture and language.
One of the approaches that I thought about this afternoon to protect our people and to revitalize our culture is district representation. There has been a lot of mistrust between our leaders and our people. And I believe that in our original culture, before we were oppressed, that our people worked very cooperatively together. It was more a cooperative working style than competition. So I think that it could be easily done. I know people that could help us bring that about. And I think that every tribal leader should have a district that they serve, have a meeting with their people, find out their concerns, and bring that back to the CBC meetings, and everybody can talk about what the needs are in every district. And that would be a way to meet the needs of the people in a timely manner. I think it would heal our tribal leaders and the relationship with the people. So that was an innovative approach that I thought about this afternoon, and I think it would bring back a lot of our pride and our original way of Comanche life, Comanche culture. And in my second approach is to initiate a wellness conference. A lot of our people in this area don't understand about colonization and what it did to our people. We're oppressed people, and it causes a lot of anger within our tribe that was not original to our tribal way of life. I think our people need to understand what long-term oppression is and how it affected us. I think our people need to heal from oppression, and in a counseling way of speaking, it's called breaking the cycle. A lot of our parents and grandparents passed down their pain to us, and if we in this generation understand it better and look at our behaviors and willing to change, we can have a brighter future and better relationships. Just to give you an example of one thing that oppression has caused within our culture is called lateral oppression. When we as a people had oppression imposed on us, we internalized it. And then when we internalized it, we did it to each other. And that's what you call lateral oppression. When you have anger and you don't know what to do with it, you don't know where it came from, you don't understand how it came into our culture, then sometimes we impose it onto each other. So I believe definitely that we reclaim our language and our culture because they're beautiful. It was taken from us and we need to bring it back. I believe in that.
Good. We'll move into the position tribal administrator. Diana Doabai, the same question. Your microphone. If you were elected to tribal office, tell us how you envision how new approaches for protecting, healing, and restoring long-oppressed peoples and for respecting the revitalization of Comanche culture and language.
I think the programs that we have now, like they mentioned, the language programs that have been started already. One idea that I would have is that knowing that our language has been passed down from our ancestors, and it's hard now because we're used to learning things from a book, writing it down, but a long time ago our people didn't do that. Our language was learned by hearing it and by speaking it. And since my feeling is we don't have a lot of those speakers left, if we sent our people to those different areas and collected what we have now and make it a major priority effort as well as our other business issues, our language and our cultures are just as important, because if we can't keep the knowledge of who our people are and what we are, what it is to be Comanche, then we won't be able to carry that into the future and pass that on to our generations coming up. And like Lenora, there's several people I know of that's taken it upon themselves to make things, write down conversations, write down words, and I think we need to make that a part of our programs here, our ongoing programs, with a little more budget for that, not just making flashcards, making the CDs and whatnot. Get out there and actively get involved with our different communities. And I like her idea that she talked about the different districts, because a while back, our CBC members used to be over certain parts of our programs, certain areas of where our people lived locally, different districts. And I think we need to go back to those things, to go back to our people, which is our voice, and see what they think about a lot. They may have ideas that we don't have sitting up here, and if we don't go out there to the community and ask them, hey, we need help with this. What are your thoughts? What do you think about ways that we can get our language going, get our culture going, get our businesses going, turn our businesses around, business approaches, and talk to our people out there? We're not ever going to go any further than that. And I think that's a big part of furthering not just our language, but all our businesses as well. Get out there and make that a priority and make that further into it. I like the approaches that we have now. A lot of times you see our signs that are written in Comanche as well as the English version. But if you're not versed in the book, you're not going to understand what you're looking at. So I think we need to approach it more on the visual aids and hearing it too. So get out there to our communities, and that would be one of my efforts, is to get out there and go see the people that we have now before they're gone. You know, sit down with them, record things, have a gathering like this. Hey, this is what we're going to do. We're coming to your area. Don't make it where they always have to come to us. Let us go out to them and to where they are and talk with them. Listen to the stories. Have the meals, you know, maybe try, you know, sitting down, so we're going to all gather and have this meal, and we're going to speak nothing but Indian at this meal, you know. Learn the names of what it is for salt, pepper, coffee, to get a smoke, to go get water, things like that. Even starting simple is a big step towards our bigger goals. Thank you.
Thank you. To save some time, I'm not going to read them verbatim. I'm just going to go straight into. So, Mr. Jerry Parker, same question.
Okay. I echo the same sentiments that the candidates have said. In my view of this question, 3 areas stood out, and those were the words protecting, healing, restoring, and I'll include revitalization. How do we do that? I believe that the first thing that's tantamount and should be top priority is having a constitutional reform to gain our voice back. Before we can even do any of the protection and healing and pride in our culture and language, I think it is the consensus, to be honest, you know, amongst the tribal community that our voice in some areas have been suppressed. And I think that it would be prudent that we have this constitutional reform meeting brought to the community first and ask, you know, if that's something that you would want to do, because that's the right way to do it. Bring these issues as important, like the Constitution, in regards to making amendments or whatever, to shore up and strengthen the gray areas, you know, that they call that are weak, that leads to individuals easily interpreting in their views our Constitution to execute whatever, you know, agenda that they may have. We should do that collectively as a tribal community, to come together and do what, you know, we should have done a while back when things kind of started going astray. Get a hold of our Constitution, like I said, and shore it up and strengthen it. That's my view on this question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was question number 1. We'll move into question number 2, and that would be Tribal Gaming Compact. I think if you move up to the screen, that first question will be, again, Billy Comanche. As we approach the eve of negotiating our gaming compact with the state of Oklahoma, what steps do we need to make immediately to prepare for this renegotiation? Mr. Comanche.
2 years will be a critical time for our Comanche Nation. We, as a nation, have 2 opportunities here. We can either call to arms the other 38 tribes within the state of Oklahoma and try to band together as far as going against the state. I for one, am very tired of the state telling me as a tribe what I can and cannot do. We have something called sovereignty, and that's a huge word. But up to this point, I have not seen that word being utilized to its fullest advantage. If we utilize our sovereignty, there are many other tribes throughout the nation that actually understand what that word means. And they've actually told the state what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. There were some resistance from what they told them, but in the end, they had their sovereignty recognized. That's the one option that we have. The other option is, and it's been done before, going all the way back to our ancestors. We, as a Comanche Nation, can stand on our own. We can execute our sovereignty. We can go against the state. Our ancestors have gone against countries. They've gone against Mexico. Mexico in the past has bowed down to the lords of the plains. As far as I'm concerned, we can look at the state in the same scenario. If the state doesn't want to work with us, if they want to tell us how to dot our I's and cross our T's, it's not going to work. Some of you have seen all of the teachers on their walkout here recently. When these gaming compacts began, a lot of the issues were geared towards education. This is where your tribal funds are going, the state said, towards our education. And now our teachers are being underpaid, and they don't want to say anything about it. The state doesn't. So now I think it's time for us as the tribes to stand up to them and tell them, you want us to provide you money from our casinos, you need to provide us some numbers, some documentation, some audits showing us where this supposed education fund is going. So there's a critical time coming up for us, and I believe that we as a Comanche Nation should stand up to the state. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Next, William Nelson. The same question on tribal gaming compacts.
I wrote a letter to Mary Fallon. Did it do any good? No. I wrote another letter to Mary Fallon, and I wrote another letter to the actual Oklahoma Gaming Commission. First off, the letter says we want to negotiate, but this is what Oklahoma wants. Oklahoma's broke. Oklahoma had a $699 million cliff. Oklahoma's never going to get right. Okay, if we make $20 million at our casino, we pay the state of Oklahoma 6% of that. That's almost like the mafia or Costa Nostra shakedown. You know, that's just wrong. Now, what are they going to ask for in 2020? They're going to ask for 10%. If we make 72 million, they're going to get 7.2 million. If we make 84 million, they're going to get 8.4 million. Now they tried to sit there and say, well, we're going to give you the craps game. We're going to give you roulette. It's called ball and dice. That's not going to make us any money. Card games don't make us any money. What's the answer? It always comes to solution. Where is our motherland? Where's our motherland? Texas is my motherland. Texas is wide open for business. How do we do it? We still got deobligated land there. I've been making my effort with the land commissioner in Texas. I've been making my effort with the Governor Abbott. Is gaming the all, seek all? Where else can you get money hitting a plastic button? Golly. It's turnkey money. It's simple. The best thing we better do, people, is triple down those gaming dollars for real business. Real business. Gaming compact will come. They're going to ask for 10% no matter what. Billy's got a noble effort in saying getting all 38 tribes involved. I got to tell you guys the truth. Chickasaws have 32 casinos. Are they going to get involved with this? No. They won't. I say let's get to Texas. We got to protect our area. We got an encroachment right now by the Chickasaws. So we got to keep up. And the thing is, they're going to ask for 10%. That's just what they're going to do. They're broke. They don't know how to manage their money. That's how it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Charles Wells with the running for chairperson. Same question, tribal gaming compact.
My grandfather was, he went to Washington for the Native American Church, Otto Wells. He was an interpreter for the tribe. Business has been under my blood. The gaming contacts, the door is open. We should have, a long time ago, said, we're not going to do this. We're a sovereign nation. But for what it was worth, we decided to go with the 39 tribes and said, this is what we want to do. There was an article in the paper today that the state is looking at the sports betting, which was just passed by the Supreme Court, so that states could do sports betting. They looked to the Chickasaws already and said, what are y'all going to do about it? They didn't consult us. This is going to be on the bargaining chip as far as 2020. This is what we're going to have to deal with. In the state legislature this past year, they did ball and dice gaming. That's your roulette and craps table. Okay, they gave the Indians the right to do that, but we get to pay, guess what? Taxes for that to the state. The compact is up in 220, but as this says, they're going to revisit it, and this is going to be on everyone's mind from now on, is how much money can we get from the tribes? And like the chairman has said, 10% is what they're looking at. Now, in other states, it's higher. It's 47, it's 57. You know, the state may not stop at 10%. That's just a figure they're throwing out now. So, you know, we've got a lot of at stake here. And the sovereignty issue is, for all practice purposes, off the table. We let that out already. We can go back and say, okay, we are a sovereign nation, we want this. But we have 39 other tribes that say, well, we want to go this way. So we're going to have an uphill battle, but we've been there before. So I thank you.
You know, running for vice chairperson, Lenora Parker, same question, tribal gaming compacts.
As far as the renegotiation plan, if I'm elected, I think some of the things we need to do is to have several different types of meetings. The first meeting for renegotiation of our gaming compact, I think we can depend on our legal team and the expertise of the general managers. They both have very good knowledge about tribal gaming. And also, as other candidates have stated, the Supreme Court has approved roulette, dice gaming, and sports betting. So that is something that will need to be considered to add to our new compact. Also, I think it would be wise if we ask for an analysis of all the funds that have been paid to the state of Oklahoma. It's a good thing to analyze what we have paid out thus far. Another thing that I think would help our tribe as well as other tribes is to set up a meeting with UINO. That's the United Indian Nations of Oklahoma. It's a well-established organization for tribal leaders to support, help, and share information. And in fact, this organization was started by our own former chairman, Ron Burgess, and it is still in effect, and it has been successfully supporting tribes for 33 years. There are other levels that the gaming compact does have to go through before it is finalized and approved. It has to be approved by the BIA, the National Indian Gaming Commission, Secretary of Interior, and the State of Oklahoma. These are some of the steps that I would initiate if I am elected as Vice Chairman to get a gaming compact that will be in the best interest of the Comanche Nation. Thank you.
Okay. We'll go to the candidate tribal administrator, Diana Doibai. Same question, tribal gaming compacts.
One point I would like to bring up is I know when our tribe did the original Gaming 3 compact, it wasn't with the state. It was from federal government to federal government. So my question to stick out there to our current committee would be, what changed in that original Gaming compact? Because I know when they had that original Gaming 3, we were the only tribe to have Gaming 3 that was allowed to have it, and we went our government signed the compact agreement with the U.S. federal government to get that started. And in there, they ear tagged where the state's wanting taxes now. It was ear tagged already a certain percent for us to give to education, which was to the county here and the state. We ear tagged it because our headquarters was here in Comanche County, that those percentages that we give towards education was here in Comanche County in these schools. And my question would be is what changed that, because us having to go back and renegotiate with the state is a step backwards. So that would be something to dig into for you guys to find out if we originally had that compact for federal government to federal government, you know, how does the state come in? Why are they telling us now? You know, like you said, why are they being allowed to tell us what we can and can't do?
Thank you. That is the that's the last the person. We're on to number 3. The question: if you switch that,
Can I say something?
there is an opportunity for those looking at Comanche casino competitiveness. If you were elected to tribal office, name a few strategies for improving our Comanche casinos, particularly as we compete with local tribal casinos. That's the competition. That is question to candidate for chair, Susan Cawthorn.
We've already been looking at improvements to our Red River Casino. We've been reviewing a master plan to do some major improvements at that casino because that is our main one that brings in the most revenue to the tribe. We have to make that casino, our casinos, more relevant with the competing casinos. Also, liquor by the drink will help our revenue, which will be coming to Cotton County in June for a vote. I hope you will vote yes on that. But we have to have that in order to compete with the other casinos that do serve alcohol. So that is important, and I think if you're out and you're about, please vote. Improving games. We have to keep up with technology. As it was mentioned a while ago, sports betting, even online betting, all of these things are factors that we can look at and is very relevant to our gaming. I think it's things that could bring a lot of money to the tribe, and we are looking at different avenues to get into these areas. All of these things are important, but none of them replace good customer service. And we have talked about this since I came into office 3 years ago. And the current CEO that we have now is making major improvements in trying to take care of our current customers. You have to make them want to come. You have to make them want to stay. And that comes with good customer service. All of you know that. If you go shop somewhere, people treat you good, you tend to go back. And that's the same thing that we have to do with our casinos. And we're making major strides in these areas, and I see a lot of good things happening for the Comanche tribe with our gaming. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Charles Wells, same question. Comanche casinos competitiveness.
At present, we have 5 casinos. We just got through completing the Ryan Casino, and we have 1 Travel Plaza. When I was on the CBC, the Travel Plaza cost $3 million to build. They got the money from tax and the tribe. We need about 4 more of those. When we start looking at other casinos, there are at now to present day, there are 134 casinos in the state of Oklahoma as of 2017. The 2 biggest casinos is WinStar with 519 square feet. The Choctaw Casino in Durant is 300,000 square foot. Riverwind, 219 square foot. We have nothing to compare to that. So what do? We need to start putting the travel plazas in every place we can to start combating the onslaught of other tribes wanting to take our business. This is imperative. The other tribes have resorts. We do not. We have a hotel on 1 casino, and if you want to stay there, they will comp your room. That's all we have to offer. We don't have any more amenities that draw people to our casinos. The other casinos I were mentioning, they have resorts. They bring people in. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move into candidate vice person, Daryl Cochituita. Same question. Okay. Comanche casinos competitiveness.
We have competition down at our Red River. We have the Kiowas down there. Here in town, Fort Sill Apache's right down the road. And we face encroachment from the Chickasaws also. With competition this close to our facilities, it's really important for us to key in on the details. I think we have to offer a superior gaming experience to set us apart from the competition. And how do you do that? We need to size up our properties. We need to get down to the detail of what's the flow of the traffic. What about are we met with a shuttle service? Are they greeted? Upon entry, what's the air condition? What's the first thing they see when they enter our properties? What's the flow of the floor? Is it easy to navigate or is it a maze? Is our seating comfortable? Are they greeted again and made to feel welcome? Are our staff properly trained to provide excellent customer service? And do we provide ongoing training? Are there incentive programs to reward our employees? I have a brother who works for the Apache casino in their marketing department, and periodically they receive this check. And that's a reward. Our employees are extremely important. Without them, it doesn't work. We need to uphold them, we need to encourage them, and I think we need to build in incentives for them to strive for excellence. That will help us set ourselves apart with the current competition. Another way we can compete is to expand on what we've already built. We, back when I was in office, I believe it was around 2011, we were looking at the Travel Plaza for Exit 1 down there off the Red River. We sized it up. We have the land already. We conducted the feasibility study. And in that day, we were looking at other outfits to come in and invest and get it up and running. But a lot of time those deals, that's leaning towards them being more profitable and us being left to manage it later. So we figured, well, we can take this project on ourselves. So we funded it ourselves. We built it ourselves. And it's been successful to this day. Several $1 million in gaming revenue, tax revenue, more jobs. And that was just one in a series of laid out and strategic possibilities that we saw then, because we have land in multiple areas. So I believe we need to utilize that same technique and build more at a smaller scale and expand. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to take a break, 15 minutes, and then we'll come back and reconvene. We'll get started. If
Tony
yeah,
Reese,
and
you got a
we
question?
have those of you that would like to participate and fill out a question. We have those right here. So let's take a 15-minute break for everybody, and then we'll call back. So we'll be calling you back in about 14 minutes so we can get started on time. Thank you. We had a wonderful first half, and now we're moving into the fourth question. So as you begin to get seated, we want to thank you for your patience and in your protocol, and we have an opportunity for all the voice candidates to respond to these questions, and then we're compiling some of the questions that you have given us, and we're sifting through those to see if there's some similar themes so we can have an opportunity to respond to those. But right now there is a lost and found, a purse, just in case anybody, we found this outside, anybody's looking or lost a purse, come up front here and claim that.
You guys can, guys, make sure you use the little photo thing back there.
I haven't checked to look and see. I'm not going to open it up. It's somebody's purse. You might have a lot of Powerball tickets inside of it. Are we ready? Okay. All right, we're going to move into question number 4, and so let's put that on the screen. Comanche-centered education. I'll read it one time, and this be addressed to the first one will be June Sovo. You'll be responding to this question. If you were elected to tribal office and capacity building is important to you, what would be your immediate plans to prepare the Comanche Nation and the people for their educational future from preschool to higher education?
Okay, what I would probably do is, we had a Comanche Nation for college, for high school. It seemed like it worked pretty good, but I don't know what happened to it. But preschool all the way up to make them realize that it's such an important thing, education, is some type of incentive, whether it be PUI, whether it be gift vouchers, but some type of incentive. Now, the little kids, we could probably give them a big bag of Hershey's, and they'll work like everything. They're 1 through 6. But some kind of incentive, and be sure that we tell them that we're encouraging you to get that education and make good grades, and you will be rewarded from it. Udako.
Wonderful. Candidates for vice chairperson. Question number 4, same Comanche-centered education question. Daryl, Coach Guida.
Yeah, education is real important. And I'm not up to speed on everything that we provide currently because I've been away from the tribe for a little while, so if I say something we already have, forgive me. Do we have opportunities in trade school programs? One thing for sure, we need to reevaluate, and continually to improve our K through 12 programs. Can we provide tutoring services? How many internships does the nation currently offer? What about a mentorship program particular to various industries? For instance, if elected, I'd like to start a young entrepreneur program. Small business plays a huge role in the U.S. economy. Why not encourage some of our youth to pursue self-employment? A business degree may help, but isn't required to succeed in small business. I already know of some professional Comanches willing to participate, people with experience in finance, marketing, accounting, IT, and law. Comanches mentoring younger Comanches. Isn't that at the heart of being a tribal people? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, Guy Narcomi, your response to Comanche-centered education.
Education is probably the most important topic here on this list right here. In my opinion, education is a sleeping giant of the tribe. Without education, there's almost nothing that we can do. People think in terms of education as going to school and report cards and graduation and football games, but it's more than that. Education is character development and self-efficacy and self-esteem and self-confidence. A lot of character traits are instilled in school. Children who are raised in homes without parents who supervise well or without mentorship, they get it at school. All character development these days is almost done strictly at school. And we need to look into educating our younger youth into having good character traits and good core values, good core Comanche values. In my opinion, some practical things that we can do starting in pre-K is what we call IEPs. IEPs are individual education plans. You start youngsters from an early age, and you see how good they're doing in school, and you create a coursework for them all the way until graduation, and you design a plan for them. They do that in schools a lot. Secondly, for higher ed, there's a lot of smart students out there that can go to college at major schools, OU and Ivy League schools, but they don't have the funding. So I think scholarships need to be on a case-by-case basis. Some students may go to Cameron, some students may go to Votech, some students may qualify for higher league schools, but it needs to be case-by-case. But really, education is about character development and intelligence. And I think that's the sleeping giant, and I think we need to pay a lot of attention to education and supporting a good infrastructure for our students there. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Next, Lenora Parker, your response to Comanche-centered education.
Our Comanche children deserve to have a good education. I think it's very important because they are living in a very competitive time period, and everything is changing. I worked 23 years in 2 Indian schools in Cache, Oklahoma. Most of the kids I worked with are what mainstream society calls at risk to fail because of drugs, alcohol, domestic violence, and poverty. But when I worked with kids and they got support and encouragement, most of them did make great improvements. So I think there's several things that can be done to help our children in preschool and high school, all the way through high school. I think we need to set up some tutoring for our students so that they can be successful now in schools, and also maybe summer classes. I think we need some buses to take our our teachers to tutor in the surrounding counties and districts where our people live. And I think we also need some cultural and language classes, because that is a great part of their self-esteem. A sense of belonging is a great part of their self-esteem. And if they have self-esteem, they'll be able to achieve and be more successful at school. So those are some of the things I thought about, and our children do deserve it. There are a lot of other tribes that are putting funds into their children. I think we need to invest in our children as well, in their education.
Thank you. Candidate for Tribal Administrator, that'd be Jerry Parker. Same question on education.
Well, as a tribal member, and hopefully the next tribal administrator, in regards to higher ed, there's facts of life that we have to address because there's obstacles that our students or our tribal members face. It's great that the Comanche Nation has a higher ed department program to afford an opportunity for anyone that wants to seek an education in whatever manner, whatever field and everything. but there's obstacles that can prevent our tribal members from attending school or attempting to go to school. One is transportation, another one is daycare, living expenses, and that's an area that I would like to look at and see if those things are even actually being addressed and taken care of. If not, what can we do to rectify that situation for any tribal member, whether they're local or far? You know, our faraway tribal members, they don't have easy access like our locals want, and so we need to, be mindful and go the extra mile, especially for the ones that live afar, that, they have to go and do a little bit more work because of the distance problem. So as tribal administrator, I will continue to encourage improvement, seeking grants that are out there in whatever manner that we can, grants, so that we don't have to rely on gaming monies to provide these educational opportunity for our tribal members. But,
all right, thank you. Before we shift gears, and we're going to go into question number 5. There's a weather alert. Those of you that pay attention to the weather, there's golf ball size hail coming in from the west, and that's to 9 o'clock. So I just wanted to give you that update, just to shout out, just to let you know, just because I don't know what your location is. So we're going to move into question number 5. Question number 5 is healthcare. Susan Cawthorn, as you prepare candidate for chairperson, there's been recent discussion about continuing to promote self-governance of our tribe in terms of healthcare. How do you feel about the compacting or contracting 638 Comanche tribal funds that are in the Lawton Indian Hospital? Are you for or against this happening, and provide your reasoning?
Okay, thank you. Right now, I would not be in favor of it. If we were to 638 our portion of the funding to the hospital, it would only be about 23% of the total funding, $26 to $27 million, which would equivalent about $6 million. That's not enough to operate that hospital. That's not enough for us to open up a clinic. And right now, it takes every penny. I sit on that hospital board, so it takes every penny that we get now just to keep the doors open, to keep doctors there, medicine coming in. It's unbelievable how much it costs to operate the hospital. And if just one tribe was to pull out, it would leave that hospital in a desperate situation. It would probably have to shut down. Also, that hospital sits on KCA land. And can you imagine trying to split the hospital 3 ways? I don't think that would happen. Self-governance, yes, that could be good. It does open up some doors and give some flexibility, but unless we have a lot of money and a strong government and numerous checks and balances in place, I would say no to 638. Instead, we need to advocate for more appropriations to increase so we can improve services to the people. And the hospital board is currently working on this, and it's a very active, good board. I want y'all to know that. And we are looking out for our people's best interest, each and every one of you. Thank you.
Billy Comanche, your response to question number 5, healthcare.
I am and have always been in favor of our Comanche Nation having their own health care system. I'm not going to sit up here and bash the Indian Hospital, but I truly believe that there are the groundwork has been laid by the other tribes in the eastern side of Oklahoma. They have nice facilities. they have pooled their funds. They have communitized their resources. They have brought in professionals that know how to bring in the funds for health care. You look at some of these hospitals in the east side, they have top-notch facilities, they have top-notch doctors, they have top-notch plans for their tribal members. And I believe that our tribal members, Comanches, deserve no less. I want to be able for my elders to go into a place, a facility that they can depend on, they can trust, and not sit behind a taibo or a tu taibo waiting for their opportunity to see a doctor and get their own health care or their own prescription filled. I feel that way, and I've always felt that way very strongly. I know it's going to be a hard program to get underway, but like I said, I do know that there are professionals out there that have gone through that. They know the problems that are involved in getting your own healthcare system set up, and it's just a question of going out there and bringing those professionals in. And I believe that our Comanche people are well worth the time and effort.
Good. Question. Do not Guy Narcomi. You're next. Your response to health care.
I like the idea of having our own hospital. I know the Creeks on the east side of the state have been able to pull that off, as well as the Chickasaws. I kind of believe that everything is on a case-by-case basis. I mean, if the shoe can fit, wear it. If it doesn't fit, try something else. If we really like that idea of doing 638, then maybe a small pilot program to just see if it can work out and to see if we can maintain it. But if feasibility, if it's not working, then I'll explore other avenues, I suppose. But I think that's a big topic for discussion, and we would just have to weigh our resources, whether or not if we can sustain it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Question number 6 is also healthcare, but we're going to go with current events. That would be William Nelson. How do you see the Comanche Nation's sovereignty story unfold as new Medicare work rules are being introduced locally? As a future elected leader, what would be your immediate strategy to protect our treaty rights, particularly our health care that is under the current Trump administration?
Okay, comes to one thing. They repealed Obamacare. And it's not Obamacare, it was called the Affordable Care Act. Medicaid. Right now, when we had the Affordable Care Act, the state gets 100% federal match for patients with Medicaid. Now, it's up to the states to accept expanded Medicaid. Guess what? You live in the state of Oklahoma. They're anti-what? Good health care. So they did not expand Medicaid. So what do? Everybody, there's always a solution. I don't know if anybody's been to the Twin Cities of St. Paul, Minneapolis, and what they did. Yes, it includes all colors. There's a way to do this. There is a way to protect our rights. Right now, IHS has 26 hospitals. They have 59 health centers. But guess what? Compared to tribal, nonprofits, Chairman Burgess, 19 hospital and 284 health centers. That's the route to go. And how do you do it? It's easy. $11 billion is appropriated for community health centers. We have to be turnkey in Oklahoma. Why do we have to be turnkey in Oklahoma? I just told you. They do not expand Medicaid, so we really don't get that back. Maybe 4 to 6 out of 10 Indian people will get that. Once tribes take control of their health programs, they can manage them in ways that are dramatically improved services. And I'm with Mr. Comanche. We need to go to 638. We have to. Why? Tribes can increase their third-party billing, redesign parts of direct health care, improve their contract health services. And this is the number. Understand this number. Gotcha. Fiscal year 2017, IHS was funded $4,798,000. This year, they're funded $4,739,000, which is really a cut of $59 million. We got 562 tribes. Divide that up, every tribe is only getting $8 million. Do the math and look over to the east. You got how many Cherokees? 500,000. Okay, that answers it. Yes, 638, and also go and diversify our health care. We can do it. We can do it. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going into question number 7. Susan Cochran, you have the first question. That is, Oklahoma tobacco tax revenue. With the recent passing of the state legislators' $1 tax per pack of cigarettes sold in Oklahoma, what will be the impact? What would be the impact on tribal revenue?
Well, I can assure you the impact is going to be great. The dollar tax increase will have an impact on our revenue, especially at Red River Travel Plaza, because a lot of the Texans come across that bridge right now because they can buy their cigarettes a lot cheaper from our travel plaza. But when this dollar tax goes into place this July 1, they're going to be able to buy their cigarettes cheaper, 62 cents a pack cheaper across the river. So there's not going to be a need for them to come across there anymore, which will in turn drive down revenue not only on cigarettes, but also amenities or cakes, cookies, sodas, whatever. So it's going to have an impact on our revenue. There's no doubt about it, because there will be a loss of traffic. I mean, when you can buy Marlboros right now, you're going to be able to buy a carton of Marlboros, for $57.40. You can get that right now. When this tax goes into effect July 1, a carton is going to cost you $67.40. So a lot of you smokers out there may want to rethink your habit. But anyway, 55% of the sales are tobacco related, and most of that sale does come from Texas. I don't think we'll see too large of an impact with Spur and CNC, the one by the casino, because people will still buy cigarettes from them. And when the dollar increase goes into place, we're at a 50-50 split right now with our compact with the state of Oklahoma. They get 50% of the tax revenue collected, and we get the other 50%. So in essence, when that dollar goes into place, we'll still get 50% of that, which will kind of help to ease the loss that we will be seeing. But it could have a serious impact and potentially up to $210,000 decrease in tax revenue. That's potentially. Thank you. Sorry.
Good. June Sovil, your response to Oklahoma tobacco tax revenue.
There we go again. The state of Oklahoma telling us what they need to do on our Indian reservations, on our place. I don't think we can allow that. That's crazy. That's like us going down there on their deeded property saying, you can't do this, you can't do that. We got to stand up for our rights. We have got to stand up for our tribal people, because that's our position, to look out for the benefit of our people. And if we let Oklahoma push us around, Oklahoma legislation push us around, they're going to do it. We got to stand up and say no. Thank you.
Charles Wells, your response to Oklahoma tobacco tax revenue.
In the last 10 years, the state of Oklahoma has taxed cigarettes primarily because the tribal people sell more than anyone else. The Quick Trip and the love stores have always wanted a level playing field with the tribes. So back 5 years ago, they leveled the playing field, and we are paying the same wholesale rate that every retail store is paying on a pack of cigarettes or a carton. The new law going into effect does not just do cigarettes. I've read the law. It attacks snuff, cigars, e-cigarettes. It will attack everything that we sell in our travel plaza and in our smoke shops. The state is going after us, and we've got to fight. But the tobacco, a little history on the tobacco is, if we could use a helicopter to deliver cigarettes to our smoke shop, we wouldn't have to pay taxes. But since we have to drive over state roads, that's where they get us, because the state charges us to deliver cigarettes to our stores. And originally, the tax was for non-native people, but we had to pass that tax, or that savings on to these non-native people by having them as honorary tribal members. So the state said, you can't do that. So they said, okay, we're going to make a compact. And this is where the compact came from, is that the state had to have some way of taxing us, and they did. So as long as we drive cigarettes and deliver to our stores over state highways, we have to have a compact. Thank you.
Move-in candidate vice chairperson, response, Daryl Cochiguita. Your response to the same question.
Okay. For many years, tribal nations had a great advantage in the tobacco arena, and we did well. With each new compact, with each new law passed, that advantage that we had over our competition dwindles to where we are today, and this will undoubtedly hit us hard in that area. But that just goes to show how much need there is to diversify as a nation our economic development opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move into question number 8. Question number 8 is nationhood. As it moves up on the screen, I'll read it. And that would be the first person, that would be William Nelson. Explain your standpoint on the constitutional politics that are slowly redefining our native peoples or state relations. Reflect upon our own Comanche Constitution and how it could be strengthened.
Well, the voice. We're hearing candidates come forward. Oh, the voice. I wanted constitutional conventions. I called for 2 or 3. It just never was agreed upon. It comes to this nationhood. What are we? We're Numana. We're the real people. I remember growing up, A-Ave through H-Ave. We had Petty Acres, Warriavals, T-Darks. We had all these Comanche people. We had nationhood back then. We were Takapa, but we leaned on each other. We loved each other. Then you go over there, D-Ave. You got all the Nonais. Then you just keep going. You got the Echowarties. You got different families. What am I saying here? Nationhood and our constitutional value. Either we as a people understand that, first off, let's educate our children, have a charter school. We're working very hard on trying to do that. Why are we paying the state $7 million, $6 million a year for us to rank 49th in the whole United States? Why are they not giving us waivers to private schools? Why are they not giving us waivers for our brightest kids to go to Lawton Christian School, St. Mary's, maybe Holland Hall? Well, they're not going to do it. We got to claim our own nationhood. Can we do it? It starts with the school. I heard this young man, Guy Narcomi, say, put a supermarket there, you got a town. You know what? We could do such things. We have the money to do it. Will we do it? Do we love each other enough to do it? You know, it's all kumbaya when we get in groups, but we've come to a point where if our constitutional value and all of our people don't have that right, you know, it comes with nationhood, where we are, and honestly, you got to think of our demographics right now. 70% of our voting public, they live away from us so they can make it in the world. We've got to get them home to make it here and make it viable. Thank you.
Candidate Tribal Administrator Diana Doibai, your response to nationhood.
Our Comanche Nation, I think, is in the current position it is with our committees because we have forgot about the voice of our people. And instead of looking for loopholes, how to change this and that for what we want to read into the Constitution, it was set up to help our people, by our people. When our committeemen set these up, they weren't looking for loopholes on how to use it against ourselves. And I think if we just look at the Constitution, and we're put in here to do a job and to go by what that Constitution says, when it's black and white, it says you do it this way, or our people in our tribal government at our annual meeting vote and say they want it done this way, that's who we listen to. It's simple, cut, and dry. Your governing people that's who we listen to. There's no debate about, well, what do you think about this today? It's cut and dry. If you're in here and you're for the people, then you're going to hear them. Thank you.
Thank you. Jerry Parker, your response to nationhood.
We all know that when Trump came into office, he immediately displayed not a favorable, positive look towards Native Indigenous people. That was apparent when he did his first executive order allowing the Dakota Access Pipeline to continue on with their laying of the pipes for the oil from Canada. And the other measures regarding his disregard for Native people were the blatant disrespect and turning the other cheek in regards to the treaties and rights of the indigenous tribes in that area. But it wasn't just directed towards that particular group of Native tribes. It was at all Native tribes. He is, and it's just my opinion, but you know, he is not a very kind man. With that being said, being a divided tribe leaves us vulnerable to have our rights taken away as well. If we're divided, we can't come together when we need to. So I think it is imperative, once again, that we, as a consensus tribal population of the supreme governing body, that we come together and actively take care of our Constitution, strengthen it in areas that can be easily interpreted in too many different ways by individuals or several individuals or groups and everything, when it should be the whole tribal community doing this. We have to shore up and strengthen and be ready for anything or anybody that should perhaps try to and come and take what we are rightfully owed. So with that,
Thank you very much. What I'd like to do now is, because of the time, the weather, and where we are at this stage, we're going to give everybody an opportunity to have a closing statement or anything they would like to say in recognition to their voice, and highlight your campaign, why Comanche tribal members would like to vote for you. Daryl, could you start here, and we'll just go this way, and however you would like to open that up. So it's open-ended. Please provide a closing statement.
Okay. I just want to say thank you. I want to thank you, everybody that made this event possible. I think it's a good thing to communicate with our people. I don't know if you've seen my video, but I know there was a shortcoming in our past and in our history was not full disclosure and communication with our people, and they just want to know. You guys want to know. I want to know. So that's one of my promises moving forward is that we will open up that communication. We'll take and do more community meetings, and we try to bring back the heart of the Comanche Nation, and that's community, and be a good servant to the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Daryl. Everybody that's watching abroad, the people that made their time to come out here, and thank you, Doctor, for bringing this forward, you and Bobby. You know, this is a 3-year term. That's all it is, 3-year term. You know, you hear a lot of grandiose ideas. You know, you hear a lot of la, la, la. Let's be brutally honest. We got a lot of our folks on meth. Let's be honest now. Let's be brutally honest. We got a lot of our folks that are kicked out of their house, kicked out of Kaku's house, kicked out of someone else's house. You know, we don't want to face that. We don't want to, talk so cherry about that. If we cannot care for the least of these, what are we here for? We've got a tax commission that's making money now. We have a gaming that's making money now. Now we have to work on business to make more money, to take care of the least of these. Those that want a career should be able to find it. Those that want an education should be able to get it. And it can't be anti-Comanche anymore. This anti-Comanche agenda's got to end. God bless you, Comanche Nation. I'm a Comanche in office, I'm a Comanche out of office, and when I die, I'm going to be a Comanche in heaven. God bless you.
I served the Comanche people 2 terms, and I would love to do it again because I have a heart for the people. There's a lot of unmet needs out there, and I believe a strong point of a Comanche leader is to listen. The people want to be heard, and I'm willing to listen. And in case you haven't seen it on my Facebook, a few of the things I accomplished when I was on the CBC before is the expansion of the Red River church funding and the Comanche Nation Funeral Home. And I will work hard. I'm dependable, I'm trustworthy, and I'm approachable. Thank you.
It's always been my belief in my working career in the medical field that the employees are a vital, important asset of any organization. If you have unhappy employees, they're not going to go the extra mile to deliver whatever services that or goods that they have to deliver to the community. Like Mr. Nelson said, be brutal, honest. We have lost some really talented, knowledgeable employees to our neighboring tribes, and that should not have happened. Why? Because of people's views that they think that they're not perhaps good for the people or the tribe, should I say, and everything, and that's just absolutely not true. I want to reinstill the morale of the tribal employees so they can deliver the services in an efficient way, because they're wanting to. I remember when I first came and worked for the tribe, you could see all the happy and smiling faces, the camaraderie, and that's just not in existence anymore. So I want to clean that up as tribal administrator, reinstill that these employees are important, and every one of them are vital. The programs, they're running good. If there's any thing that I can do, if in my capacity as tribal administrator, I will certainly do that. And I want to say, and I want to be clear here, that it's not just for the local community. Our faraway tribal members, we have to pay and start focusing attention on them so they can feel that inclusion as well. So with that, my name is Jerry Parker, and I humbly request your vote for tribal administrator. Oda.
Because of my upbringing from my elders, my grandparents, they taught me to be humble and told me that humility would take you a long way in your life, never putting yourself in front of anyone else, never looking down on your fellow man, especially your tribal member. I agree with Mr. Parker as far as the basic employees, the core of our Comanche Nation headquarters here. I believe that there should be safety and security. This should be a happy place to work. You should be able to come to work without any threat. I'm not gonna stand here and try to bash anybody. I just know that it's a lot better service when you're taken care of by one of your tribal members that are happy, want to be there on their job, want to serve their people. That is what our tribal members deserve, not only within this atmosphere of our employees, but it has to start at the top. The top, the business committee, has to be able to get along with one another because they are there as elected officials of the tribe to represent each and every member, whether it's here, Lawton, Cache, California, wherever it is. They are the elected officials to represent our tribal people. And I believe that with prayer, with humility, all of that can be combined to bring this back together for our people, because that's what it's all about, our Comanche people. They tell me, Ta'apa Namana, be with us. Nami Sutai. That's my prayer for our people. Thank you.
You know, that last question was talking about constitutional politics. Our Constitution don't even say nothing about politics. Politics is what's got our business committee where they're at now. The Constitution is a guideline for our business committee to go on a good road for our people. We need to get back on that road. We have HRs and different programs. They got guidelines to help discipline our people. There's incidents they don't even use them. They only use them for certain ones. Just like our Constitution. They only pull the Constitution out when it's going to help them do something they want to do. We need to get back to our Constitution. That's our people, Irako. Akamakata na namana.
I learned during my time working with folks. I started out as a secretary when I was going to school, got my education, and started out from the bottom working with people. And I know as if elected for tribal administrator, you've got to be able to listen to your employees, hear all sides of whatever situation, problem that you're going to be confronted with, and listen to both of those sides. And us, not just for tribal administrator, any of these offices up here, we're asking you, our people, to trust us, to make those good decisions, to listen to all sides, to listen to you, listen to God Almighty, and then sit down and look at what's in front of us and make that decision, not for us, but what's best for our people. And sitting in that position as tribal administrator, you're also entrusting me to stand up for our employees when sometimes our administrative people, they get going in such a direction, we need to do this, we need to do that, but at the same time, you have to be able to be not afraid to say no to your boss sometimes and say, wait, that regulation says we can't do it that way, or wait, you can't treat that employee that way. That's not right. That doesn't follow labor laws. That doesn't follow, being considerate to your people of what's right and wrong and what those regulations say to run our programs. Because we have good programs, we have good people working for them. But we also need to be able to stand up for those people as well as stand up for our other members, business committee members that we're working with. You don't have to love me to work with me. Respect that person that you work with, because you're going to work with them from 8 to 5, and they might not like you, and they might say something ugly to you after hours or on their Facebook or whatever, but that's their opinion. That's democracy. As long as we come together and work together and do what we're supposed to do, that's what we're here for. We're not here to slap our employees' hands, like they said, and get on to them or fire them because they put something on their personal time. We're here to do the right thing, but remember there's times we have to say no and just do the job in the respect for what's best for our people. Thank you.
I agree with all the candidates that have spoke so far. The employees are the backbone of the Comanche Nation. They need to be looked at. When I first got on the CBC, there were tribal people working for the tribe that were barely making minimum wage. We adjusted that. But we need loyalty from our employees, and we get it by helping our employees grow within their job. So this is what I would like to bring to the table: an open door for every employee of this nation. From here to Dallas, to Oklahoma City, to Albuquerque, to Wichita, Kansas, they all have voices. And I would like to see, I haven't heard it mentioned tonight, but our elders, they need help too. They need more funding. They are the backbone of our tribe too. This is where we learn from. The elders teach us. I would like to see more funding for our elders. In education, as you heard tonight, we need better education, but we need jobs for the people when they do graduate from that higher education. We don't have those jobs for them, and they go elsewhere. They go away from the Comanche country to find work. I want everyone to go home tonight and have good things tomorrow. Thank you.
Well, it's been a long 3 years. It's been a hard road, and we've made a lot of strides with our tribe, and we've come a long way. And as chairman of the Comanche tribe, I will continue to work hard to continue to move us forward in all avenues of business, education, and continue to strengthen our tribe for the people. This is my promise to you. Thank you.
Okay, Madaweka, I'm going to try to be as brief as I can be. Tell you some of the things that, some of the ideas that are being represented. The first one is health and wellness. I believe a healthy mind, body, spirit, and environment makes a person more capable to do better things. I believe more organization and logistics in the tribe will make us run a lot more smoothly. And I believe education is the secret component to our success. That's future down the road, talking 20, 50 years down the road. That's investment in our people, investment in human capital. That's where it's really at, is in our people 50, 60 years down the road, talking about a long time. And the end goal is to make our children better off than we were, is to leave our grandkids and our future grandkids a lot better off than we are today. The whole goal should not really be in the present, but 10, 20, 50 years down the road. We still need to be Comanche Nation and Comanche Nation strong. One thing I hear a lot of people talk about is business, but has the word economics ever been brought up? How does money reciprocate back to the tribe? A lot of money comes in, a lot of money goes out. I'll give you an example. I worked at Riverside and I made a decent paycheck. Half of that paycheck went to paying a rent to somebody I don't even know. If the tribe had an apartment or even a studio apartment complex, I could pay the money to the tribe and it would be reciprocated back later on to everybody else. Smart ideas. I'll give you another example. So after college, where do these educated people go? We get business degrees, we get bachelors, we get masters, then what happens? We get outsourced. You lose the best of your human capital because there's nothing there that exists. And where do we stay? Where do we go to? Like I said, we pay high mortgage rates and we don't have families and we don't need a giant house. So why are we paying that amount of money? So I'm bringing up economics, and that's something different where the money reciprocates back to you. So let's talk less about problems and more about solutions, because already out in existence are business formulas and economic formulas that already exist. We just need to implement them. So I'm talking about tribal infrastructure, setting up our own utility companies, setting up our own grocery stores and gas stations and more infrastructure. They're not money makers, but they're money sustainers. So if the casinos or anything ever like that goes down, we can still sustain ourselves. And we need to prepare for a time when all this infrastructure that we have created may no longer exist. You look at history, things repeat themselves. And we don't want to lose what sustains us. We went through the buffalo times, then we went through the ration times, and now we're going through the casino times. What's after that? What's coming next? What's our grandchildren going to deal with? We need to think ahead of time, far ahead of time. Ira.
Okay, thank you to all the candidates. Right now, we're going to, before we go to the drum for our closing song, I just wanted to take a moment to thank some people here today. First of all, the candidates for taking time to participate tonight, to provide information to the Comanche people in their decision-making process as to who they will choose to lead this nation. And I would like to thank the Comanche people, the tribal members today who came tonight to listen to the candidates, those that are at home watching online. And I appreciate all the questions that were submitted, and I apologize that we were unable to get to those questions. And I want to take the time to thank the IT department. Dustin worked real hard this whole past week. Hunter, all of them. Yes, give them a hand of applause. Yes, and they recorded the candidate videos for us, and just all week long, they've just, whatever I have asked of them, they've gone above and beyond that. And I, really wanted to provide a spirit to our people, that we're all Comanche people, and we need to proceed forward together And I wanted to show that we can have differences in opinions and we can be respectful of each other. And I would really like the Comanche people, for all of us to come together and to move forward. And I'm working hard. My door is always open. You're more than welcome to come by and visit with me. There's been a lot of changes this year. You know, we bought voting equipment. We're starting to implement a voter registration system. And I do want to remind people, you don't have to register with my office in order to vote. The Constitution gives you that right. With the voter registration system, it's just making the office more efficient, where we're not sending out 12,000 absentee requests a year. We want to maintain one permanent list that we can send out to everybody, and then those who want to get a ballot, then it's their responsibility to contact my office. So it's easier to receive those requests throughout the year versus the office sending out 12,000 absentee requests. And so that's why we're implementing the system, is to make our office more efficient and make it easier for the absentees to vote. So I appreciate everybody for attending, and we're going to come to Dr. Pee Wee Warder. Oh, and thank you, Dr. Pee Wee Warder, for being the moderator this evening. You did a good job. Yes, Mr. Burgess? Yeah, well, they were tribal administrator individuals, and a lot of these questions that dealt with, you know, the casinos, and those were more kind of issues for the nation. So they really were targeted toward chairman and vice chairman candidates, and tribal administrator positions are more day-to-day activities, you know, employees, programs, and things like that. So, so that's why I appreciate these two being here. And it was more for vice chairman and chairman candidates, but there wasn't a requirement for everybody to come. Yes, everybody had an open invitation. Yes, they did. Any other questions? Anybody? Okay, all right, we're going to go with Dr. Pee Wee Warder. We're going to have a closing song, and then we're going to have a closing prayer, and I would like to ask Chairman Nelson to give us that prayer after we have our song.
Yeah.
test. Rocco, drum, sat. Let's pray. The up. Me Jesus. Up God. Nami sutai. Na namana. Nami sutai. Na activates. Nami sutai. Na raivo. Na you taivo. Na tu taivo. Come on, the Kuwait Sea. Father God, you're the maker of all of us. Our tribe is becoming these people. They're becoming all colors. Father, I just ask you, by the blood of Jesus Christ, to shed your grace on these people that are called Namana. Father, give us some traveling mercy tonight. We ask upon it. Father, there's one that called today. He called. He's within our Native American church. Needs help. Needs help. He prays for our folks. And I ask that your divine blessing comes upon his life. Namana were never show. You allowed us to always be a people of action. Lord God, I just ask that you just replace our heart with yours. Father, your words, we receive not because we ask not. Father, I'm asking for our Comanche people to keep shining down on us. I'm so glad we came from rags to riches. I'm so glad that the poor urchins in Lawton, which I was, she got us to a point where we could go out in the world and make a living for ourselves like that. Lord God, you're a mighty God. And I thank you on behalf of these Comanches here and the ones abroad. Lord God, just bless this nation continually. And we say this in the precious blood and the precious Son of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, everybody. And to the candidates, would you please, real quick, let's gather for a picture. And we're going to have the PIO take a picture of all the candidates together. Thank you.